Hello guys, and welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to tell you my story of how I learned to play the guitar. Because I was thinking about, if I'm going to try and teach this, it's one thing to know something, it's something else to try and teach it. So I went back to my first memories of playing the guitar. When I was a kid in the 50s and 60s of the last century, just about everybody played piano. There wasn't much in the way of television. I think we had 2 channels and the radio. Most people made their own entertainment with a piano. Most houses had an upright piano, and that's what people played. We had an old guitar in the house. I don't ever remember playing it, but I remember that there was a guitar in the house, an acoustic, and I remember picking it up. I remember picking it up and playing around with it, but I don't remember actually playing the thing. It was more of a novelty than anything else. How did I learn to play the guitar? When I was about 21, I was working and I got a tax rebate. And as usual, I thought to myself, well, I'm either going to do one or 2 things. I'm going to spend this on wine, women and song, and the rest of it I'll waste. Or I can buy something with it. And so I went and bought a guitar. This guitar, in fact. And this guitar hasn't been out of this case in a long time. I haven't touched it. It's just been sitting there against the wall looking at me. So I took my tax rebate and I went and bought this. Now this guitar hasn't been out of this case in a very long time, because I just stopped playing, as you probably know if you've been following my channel. So there it is. It's a Gretsch 6-string acoustic guitar. It's got the model number in there, made in Japan, and the model number is 5966. And you can see by the fingerboard that it got quite a lot of use. And I played this and I played this for years. This is the guitar I've always been talking about. This guitar hasn't been out of the box in a long time. Perfectly in tune, and it always is, it always has been. And this story, this guitar has got quite a story behind it, because I bought it and I thought, okay, now how do I play it? So I didn't have a clue. When I bought the guitar, I bought a songbook to go with it, which was the Beatles songbook, their complete works. And I sat down and then I'm like trying to do chords to the songs that I liked in the but this sounds great, doesn't it? So I've got the book and I'm trying to learn the thing, and the first tune that I learned was Norwegian Wood. I haven't played it in years, the actual tune. I don't even think I can remember it. It was just I think about 4 chords, and I just played around with it. Because I had the tune in my head, I knew the tune very well. And I kept practicing and practicing, and my fingers were red raw from practicing. But I kind of got obsessed right from the beginning, right from the get-go. I was kind of obsessed. And so I'd play around with these chords. Listen to how good this guitar sounds, man. That's the thing about guitars. They are magical instruments. They're magical. There's something about them. There's something just, I can't even put it into words, and I can talk for the world, but there's something about a guitar. It's just it's mind-blowing. Anyway, getting back to the point. I learned to play the guitar from a songbook. There was no internet, there was nothing in those days. There was a couple of channels on the TV and the radio, pirate radio, Radio Luxembourg and things like that. And I had this guitar. But I basically learned to play from a songbook. Looking at the chords and just copying them, and there was no information on strumming, or there was, you know, just from a songbook I learned. Then I started listening. I'd be listening to records and I'd try to replicate what was on the record, and that was how it started. So I played with the Beatles songbook for about a year, every day for hours on end. Luckily, I had a girlfriend who was very, very patient, and she listened to me doing this, getting my fingers all caught up and playing bum chords and bum notes, and she turned the pages for me as I was playing, and I got to the point where I'd played the entire songbook, which was over 100 songs, from cover to cover in one go. And she sat and she listened to me. Oh my God, I owe that woman so much. But yeah, she was incredibly patient, and she just turned the pages for me, which is kind of a metaphor for what she'd done for my life as well. I was playing around with chords, and I basically taught myself from the songbook. And then I came across a friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, listen to this. Any guitarist of my age will know this tune." How's the Rising Sun by the Animals. Now, if you play it with a pick, and you play it at the bridge, okay, so that was the next stage in my learning, just going on from chords to then trying to do individual picking. It's an arpeggio. I didn't know it was an arpeggio at the time, but then the next step after that is to get your thumb going and your fingers here. So I've got my index finger on the G string, my middle finger on the B string, and my ring finger on the E string, and I'm playing this note here, the A note open, and you just pick. I'm going all over the place, but you get the idea. So it's just these three fingers going like this. I'm really muffing this up, but you know. And then the thumb doing the bass line. And as you move your fingers up this end, because you're playing that bass line, as you move your finger onto the C, you're hitting a bass C. Or in this case, A, B, C sharp. C. So let's try and play it through. D, F, A minor, E minor. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm still rusty as hell, so I'm still learning the same as you are. I'm relearning, but I'm trying to relearn in the way that I learned in the first place, because it led to my style of playing, which is pretty awful at the moment. But if you learn along with me and you learn your way of picking and your way of playing eventually will be unique to you, because we all make our own variations on a theme. So that's How's the Rising Sun. That got me into the old finger picking thing. Then I started listening to Bob Dylan and folk singers. I started listening to Bob Dylan, folk singers and people like that. And then the next songbook that I got was Paul Simon, and from Simon and Garfunkel from the 60s, a very, very famous, very popular musician, very talented musician, fantastic musician. And his songbook was virtually all finger picking, and so that took me down that route of finger picking. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is the boxer. Same kind of style, same finger picking method as the previous song. Except this time you're using these two strings, the E and the A, alternating, and then you're using the same three fingers on these strings here. So you go like something like this. Bear with me. You can play it by strumming. So you just do, look, you can play the boxer just by strumming. Then hammer off individual strings and it sounds like you're getting a little bit of a melody there. So that was the next step up, was to get the bass going and the chords at the same time. You're accompanying yourself. So that was the next kind of phase where I went through doing loads of finger picking stuff. And then what was the other one? Paul Simon was very good at doing tunes that were just coming off of the chord. Like you could pick the melody off of the chord. So this was Hello Darkness My Old Friend, I think it was. Just off the A minor, and carried on playing those kind of things. Then I come across bluegrass and country. Yeah, I started to listen to country music from America and bluegrass, and that took me into a whole different finger picking world altogether. And I realised you didn't have to do arpeggios. I learned you don't have to do arpeggios. You can just use. You can just pick what you like. So I started to do loads of country and loads of bluegrass, that kind of stuff. And as you go along, and on your journey, and it takes time, you'll find the music that you like. You'll find guitarists that you like, and you'll copy their styles. And then you'll adapt them to your. Sometimes you'll hear something, you think that sounds great, and you'll try to play it. And you won't get it right, but in the trying to play it, you'll find another way, a different thing altogether, which turns out to be you. That's you. That's your stuff. That's your stuff. So it's a journey.